Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, watches a couple of things, rates them out of 5, stays at home, rates a couple of things out of 5, and sees where money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin, and I am the host, and I am somewhere in the middle of the country near Birmingham. And joining us from the Isle of Wight is Sharon Bolin.
Hello.
Also on the Isle of Wight is Shaun Harris.
Hello there, hiya.
Yes, cool. I'll take that. That's a yes. That was the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
And joining us from London with a cat tail right up her nose, it's a London correspondent, and I'm going to say Max.
You are correct. Hello.
Yes, the cat Max is Holly Nesling. How are we?
Good.
All right, cool, good. So without further ado, let's go into what it is that we have been seeing at the cinema this week. So what have we seen at the cinema this week? Let's start with you, Shaun.
Okay, well, I went to see a secret screening of Companion, and I've seen The Wolfman, the latest version of The Wolfman.
Oh, good lord!
And I did, like we were talking earlier before we come on air, I did see A Complete Unknown. We were just talking about the qualities of Ed Norton.
Yes, and how the range that he shows. I still remember his first ever screen role in Cape Fear, and not Cape, wasn't? No, Primal Fear. Primal Fear, that's it. Primal Fear with Richard Gere, and you know, after that point you go, okay, oh, this guy's he's a bit of a turn, and then he shows up in A Complete Unknown, and you're like, that's Edward Norton. Come on, it's like wow, come on.
Did he do American History X as well?
Yes,
he did American History X.
Yeah,
he did American.
And he even did
different roles.
And he even voiced Sausage Party.
Oh my god!
Anyway,
Sausage Party. Yeah, he voiced Sammy Bagel Jr. in Sausage Party.
That's it. Yeah. And on the credits at the end, he made a few rather rude comments, but I don't know if anyone has seen that. But anyway, that's Ed Norton for you. But yeah, and on streaming, I did finish the last 3 of American Primeval, so I'm up with that. And yeah, so and also a film I saw, I think I've put it in the chat a few times, which I saw sort of around Christmas time, between Christmas New Year, was Dogman.
Dogman.
Yeah.
Dogman. Okay.
Cool. Not. There's a cartoon one that I see that's out in the cinema, which I was so.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, not to be confused.
You know, each time you said Dogman recently, that's the first thing that pops up in my head, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a Shaun thing. I mean, Shaun's sitting at home. I don't think that's what Shaun would watch. And and I finally realized that's why. It's because of that. It's because of that. So all right, cool. And let's go, Holly. Cinema. What have we seen this week?
Also seen Companion, a secret screening.
Oh, so this is the second week running, showing us that whenever Odeon and Cineworld have like a secret thing, it's the same film. It's the same film. I think we could do that. Has anybody? Oh, okay. Because you've got Holly's got an Odeon Limitless card. Shaun and Sharon, you've got like a Cineworld Unlimited card.
Yeah.
I've got something called an Omniplex Premium, which essentially is an unlimited card for Omniplex cinemas. And they've recently sent me an invite to see a film called September 5th.
Yeah, I've seen the secret screening for that. I think that's Monday.
Okay, cool. So you guys, so it's the same film that's just being released around all the cinema chains, and they go, "Ooh, exclusive free thing." I'm like, "Oh yeah," but I guess exclusive to anybody who has an unlimited card, but not to that particular. Anyway, never mind. I thought I was special. Oh well. So that's okay. So you've seen Companion at cinemas, but you also have films like in this whole sort of Oscar glut of that January is. There is still Baby Girl that you have to talk about, and there's still Maria that you have to talk about. We haven't spoken about either of those 2 films. So,
that's right.
All right, cool. So, all right, good. And how about at home? Anything at home?
At home, I have now seen series 1 and nearly all of series 2 of Riviera, only 10 years behind everybody else. 9 years, I believe. And Harlan Coben's Missing You.
Yes. Okay,
I think I've seen something else as well, but I can't.
I was going to say, the problem is, I think, when you see lots of stuff, is unless it's something that's particularly like bang, you tend to forget it, because I'm sure I must have seen loads of stuff that I've forgotten about, and I've watched countless hours of YouTube. So
Shaun and his burgeoning YouTube habit. It's like I can stop anytime I want.
That's it. I sort of tend to get into things for a little while. Like at the moment, I'm into some old boxing rounds, like Duran and Merriweather and all those sort of things. So
all right,
watching a few boxing bouts.
All right, good stuff. And so then, Sharon, I think we haven't spoken to you yet.
Yes, I haven't been to the cinema this week.
Okay.
And it's been a bit of a slow week at home. I am watching a program that I've got 2 more episodes to watch, a series. So that is to be continued at a later date. But I have finished Silo season 2. That's the only new thing I have finished.
Ooh, Silo season 2, and all of a sudden, all the stuff I was going to talk about goes out the window because Silo season 2. We need to watch because I know that I think Apple and Disney Plus, they like doing this whole thing where they release an episode a week like it's the 90s or something like that. And I do not like it. So I'm like, why are you releasing it? Oh, no, for goodness sake. So I tend to just wait until everything finishes and then I watch it 10 years later like Hollywood Riviera. And but it's funny, right? I remember around about the time when Game of Thrones was big and taking over everything, and I realized that's when this whole peak TV thing started building up, and all of a sudden there was just way too much good stuff to watch. And I remember thinking, like, having a list of about 10 shows that people rave about that I was not watching. And I actually had a plan of coming up with, at that time was a blog before I figured out how to do the podcast thing, of just called Late to the Party. And essentially watching things like 5 years after everybody has raved about them and going, oh yeah, you know what, that was actually pretty good. And so Holly, you're kind of late to the welcome to like late to the party. It's there in spirit. All right, cool. And I saw Flight Risk at the cinema. I caught up with Presence because superfan Nina was like going on me about going to see Presence, so I went to see Presence, and I think we might need to have like a big old spoiler natter about that, about Presence and everything like that. And because there's stuff I want to say based on what you guys said when you reviewed it, but I'm like, I don't want to say it now. I want to save it for when we we get like a little spoiler chat together and we get to talk about all the ins and outs of that film. At home, I'm not even going to bother because we got too much other stuff on. But I did see a film called My Old Ass on Prime Video, which, Holly, I think you would enjoy. Yes. If for no other reason for the title. And I also caught up with Night Bitch at Home because that's now on Disney Plus. So I caught up with that at home. And yeah, I do have thoughts about that. But let us go on. And I'm going to start with what I think is probably the big film this week. If we're going to try and be current, the big film this week is probably Flight Risk. It is probably Flight Risk. And this is a film that, has anybody seen the poster or heard anything about this film?
I've seen trailers for it. They've really plugged the trailers with the
really?
Yeah, that's the one with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, with the.
Yeah, it's the one with Mark Wahlberg. Wahlberg with a bald head.
With the bald head. Yeah. No, I've seen that trailer about 4 times, I guess. So they must be trying to plug that. So.
Oh, that's cool. Because the thing is, like nowadays, I've essentially started skipping the trailers in cinemas. I tend to leave my house at the advertised starting time of the film. Sure. So often I miss the first 2 minutes of the film. Yeah. Sometimes
it's sort of unavoidable if you're going to see a film, innit?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So Flight Risk. Okay. This is the big headline thing. Is this is directed by Mel Gibson? And whatever you think about Mel Gibson nowadays or anything like that, I think this film just shows that he's a really good filmmaker. He's a really good filmmaker, and this film is. I describe this as a throwback. It is a whole lot of 90s fun. Like, remember there was a time in the 90s whenever you had an action movie, somehow, no matter what the action movie was about, every film ended with a whole bunch of emergency services on an airport runway. Like, it didn't matter what film you watched in the 90s. Every film ended like that. This film is like unashamedly a throwback to that kind of thing. So the whole idea behind it is you meet Michelle Dockery, and she's playing I can't remember whether it's FBI or CIA agent or something like that, or no, she's a U.S. Marshal. She's playing a U.S. Marshal who has gone to Alaska and tracked down this guy, caught this guy who is a mob. He was a mob accountant paid by Topher Grace, and she is trying to take him back to New York to testify against this mob boss called Moretti. Like very, very 90s bad guy name? Moretti is like this big bad guy. They've arrested him. His accountant as well. The bodies are buried. So they are in Alaska, like in the air, like very very remote. They need to get a plane, like one of these sort of like little sort of prop planes with a propeller around the front, like think the crop duster from North by Northwest, that kind of plane. And then it was probably a Cessna or something like that. And then they got to fly to Anchorage, and then from there go somewhere else. And this guy comes and picks them up. And I think that the premise of the film is that this guy comes and picks them up and he says, okay, don't worry, I'll get you to Anchorage. But then as they start flying, they little by little, they realize that this guy who's flying the plane is not the pilot who's supposed to fly them. So the question is like, who is this guy? Why is he here? Bearing in mind that you have a mob informant who's on the plane, what is this guy doing here? And then the whole film becomes this almost chamber piece where pretty much the entire film takes place on the inside of this tiny plane. The whole film is on the inside of this tiny plane with these three people, and I think it is brilliantly made in such a way that I did not, I did not want to sit there and go, hang on a second, they've been on this plane for a while. Why are they going to get on the plane? Oh my God, this is so contrived or anything. I did not once think that. There are some bits where there's definite film logic. When people do things in the film, and Shaun,
I know. I was going to say from the trailer, I thought, is this going to be? I mean, I could go and see it, but I'm sure there's a few fun bits.
Let me put it this way, right? This is a film that is designed to be a film. Let me put it that way. It is designed to be a film. It is not designed to pertain to reality in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of times when you're thinking, hang on a second, you figured out that this guy is dangerous and everything like that. Why are you not watching him like a hawk? Why are you? And there's the whole bunch of, you can see Mark Wahlberg is having a whale of a time. He is having the time of his life playing this character, being all like, oh yeah, everything like that, making up stories and everything. You can see Mark Wahlberg is having fun all the way down to the bald cap that he's wearing and everything like that. But I think as far as tension goes, this film had me in. It was like you're watching it and you're going, okay, yeah, I understand what this is going to be, and this. But about half an hour in, I was like, okay, yeah, bring this. Okay, and then they do things like where they have to call people because obviously the things come on and they need help to actually flying this plane or figuring out where they are because the sat-nav system isn't working and the navigation isn't working and all that. And the way that they do this and bring other people in that you never really see, it's a bit like that Tom Hardy film where he's driving a car down the M1 to London or something, Lock or something like that. Just you hear other people on the phone. It's the way they do it. I think it's really well done. I think it's a nice little throwback, and it is less than 90 minutes long.
Oh right, okay then. So that's not quite so bad then.
Yeah, exactly. The film. So in every way, this film is a throwback to the 90s. It's like almost as if Mel Gibson was like, "Man, I wish those Lethal Weapon days were back with us." And it's like the sort of bouncing or the what's the word? The dialogue, the sort of conversation between the different characters, I think is good. I thought it was really, really good. I would give this a 3 out of 5 because I think it is, and it's right at the high end of the 3 out of 5 because I think they've given you a premise that tells you everything you need to know, and they've carried that all the way to the end of the film, and I thought it was really, really good.
I did plan on seeing it this week.
Yeah. No, I would say I would recommend Flight Risk. I would seriously recommend this. It is just a good time. It's a good time that will make you go, why are you doing that? But at the same time, why are you doing that? Because movies. That's why. That's why we're doing that. All right, cool. And now let's go to talk about things at home, and let us talk about Missing You. Holly.
Oh. This is a classic Harlan Coben series. And I'm actually having to pull up the details on IMDb to make sure I even give the right details because they become very interchangeable in your mind after a while.
You're like, is this the one where, or the one where, or maybe it's the one where...
You obviously automatically know that Richard Armitage is in it. Because, that is now a defining feature of them. And he also, by the by, I think, reads the books. So...
Does he?
I think so.
They must be like mates or something. He must know him.
Must be. It's so the premise of the film is that a detective's husband had fiance had suddenly ghosted her some years previously, and she has no idea why. Never had any idea why, and got on with her life. And suddenly, she is matched with him on a dating site that's based on music. And she goes, "Good God, what's going on? What shall I do with this?" And she then starts, because this all ties back to around about the same time that her father had been murdered, she starts looking back into why her then fiance had left her, what had actually happened to her father, the former police officer, or the police officer, whether the person who had been convicted of his murder had in fact committed the murder, what life actually meant. And Richard Armitage plays her boss, another police officer, which makes life nice and easy. Cat is played by the wonderful Rosalind Elazar, who is in Slow Horses and is just marvelous.
Yep.
I'm just checking if there are any other absolute winners in the cast. I mean, it's a very, very, very well put together series. It is
for sort of like noughties, people who were into like, the urban music scene. You've got Asher D. Who now goes by Ashley Walters from So Solid Crew. Yeah, 21 Seconds to Go in the film as well. Yeah, but never mind. I'll move on.
So good soundtrack then. Good soundtrack if you like that sort of music.
I doubt they would have used that music in a Harlan Coben.
Oh right, okay.
I sincerely doubt they would have used that music.
But it's a very watchable series. It draws you in. It's easy viewing. You find yourself having to binge them because you do want to find out what's going on. They're not wildly complicated. I don't think I think I got some of the twists, but not all of the twists, which is about right. I seldom get all of them in a Harlan Coben, but I very much enjoyed watching it. We'll watch the next one that turns up, unsurprisingly, which I expect will also have Richard Armitage in it.
So
no bad thing. He is a good actor. They are very watchable, and yeah, it's a solid 3 out of 5. Most enjoyable. Has not made any profound contributions to my life, and that's okay.
Well, okay, so Harlan Coben, because he does premise. He does premise that drags you in, and then twist. But then at the end of it, it's kind of like, because his novels are kind of like, airport reads. You buy them before you get on a flight. You finish them at the end of the flight. You go, oh, that was good. You forget you ever read the book. That kind of thing. Yeah, and I feel like Netflix. They're making, essentially, they're doing very well at adapting these things to be those sort of things. So you say lovely popcorn fare.
I often have to start them to make sure I haven't seen them before, because they're both memorable and forgettable.
So 45 minutes in, you're like, oh yeah, I have seen Joanna Lumley do that. Okay.
Yeah. Did I make it all the way through this series, or did I for some reason get distracted partway through episode 2 and wander off and do something else? And was one where the good news was, because it had just come out, I definitely haven't done that. So I was able to straight to it was new out this year. So do watch it if you have time on your hands and want an enjoyable, rather compelling little
popcorn watch.
Murder mystery. What the hell happened? And it led to me rewatching another Harlan Coben. I can't even remember which one that was, but that was
it was safe. It was safe, Holly.
Exactly.
It was the one where Dexter Goes English. Yeah,
that's the one. Thank you. Yes, Dexter Goes English, which keep making me think I must watch Dexter, which I've never seen.
Yeah, no, me neither. Yeah, Dexter's one of those late to the party things. Is one of those. It's one of those. Oh yeah, late to the party. Okay, fine. Let's see. 10 years later. But the problem is that they keep making new Dexter series. There's 2 of them coming out this year. There's one of them. Yeah, there's one where it goes back to when he's like young Dexter, and there's one that carries on with Dexter as a ghost or something like that. And so I'm getting very sort of like Walking Dead about this, where I'm like just refusing to watch it out of principle almost. All right, now let's go back to cinema and let's talk Wolfman.
Oh,
so
Wolfman.
Sean, yes,
Yeah,
Wolfman. So Sean, tell us about Wolfman.
There's been a few-
While I go
okay.
see why my daughter's camera stopped working.
Okay. So what we've got with Wolfman is it starts off with this son. They're sort of in the Ontario, not Ontario. What am I talking about? What's the Oregon sort of wilderness? And there's they're out in the wild. He's with his dad. He lives out in the wild. I guess he's about 11 or 12 years old, probably a bit younger, maybe 7 or 8. But so before the film starts, you've got this little synopsis about, some people have seen this, mysterious, a bit of folklore. Anyway, they're out hunting, and his father's a bit of a bully, a bit nasty. But this thing comes, and they go up in a tower, like a fire tower, and this thing, you don't really see it, but this thing's like growling and hunting and all that. And then, sort of, the father shoots this thing and it runs off, and then you switch to 30 years in the future, and the boy, he's got married, he's got a little family, he's got a girl, he's got a thing, and he gets this letter that comes through the post, and it says, we've decided that your father's dead. Well, he hasn't been in touch with his father for these 30 years. So, and it said that, you've got his house and you've got you've got all his possessions. So they decide to drive up like they would to see what's in the house and see the house and all that. And then, gets a bit lost. He says, I don't remember any of this. Of course, there's no phone signals because they're out in the wild. So you can't sort of phone anybody or use a GPS. And then they see this shadow in one of those fire towers, and the guy comes down. He goes, "Oh yeah, no, your dad. We haven't seen your dad for 30 years." And then he gets in the truck. He says, "I'll take you to the house." And then all of a sudden, this thing appears in the road, and the truck goes off the road, and this thing drags one of the people away, and they leg it to the house. And basically, there's sort of like a little bit of a siege in the house. They wonder what's going on. So that's basically how it is. And this is quite an interesting film, because the director of this, I think he did The Invisible Man, which I didn't like much.
Yes, Lee Winnell.
And so this, what can we say about this? It was interesting. I found this more interesting than The Invisible Man, because I went to see it with Happy John, and Happy John said, it's got really bad reviews. It's really rubbish, this. Anyway, he came along.
In case this is the first time you listen to us, Happy John is a little bit of an ironic nickname for our friend.
Yeah. So that's the story. So basically, what happens? There's a bit of an altercation, and the father of this family happens to get a scratch. So, what happens when some sort of creature scratches you, or you get a scratch or a bite or whatever by
in a film called Wolfman.
In a film called Wolfman, you can imagine what happens. So he's obviously slowly starts to transform, and his daughter's there saying, "What's wrong with Dad? What's wrong with Dad?" And yeah, I really like this, because the mother, who's a bit of a, shall we say, well, she sort of comes to the fore, if you like. She's like, yeah, okay, I got her. She starts off in the film as being a little bit, nah, but she actually comes to the fore when it comes to the important bits. She becomes, what's the word? She becomes
protective mother bear.
Yeah, so yeah, less protective. She's the one that gets the kitchen knives and stuff and whatever. So, and basically it turns into you being chased, running around, getting high, getting low, getting
final girl movie kind of thing.
It's a bit bloody. There's some sort of scenes in it where they sort of catch him. Well, no, that'd be a spoiler if I give that away. But sometimes, yeah. But wounded animals do certain things sometimes, don't they? Which, if they're trapped, which is a thing.
Yeah, I think for me the main thing is that at some point there's going to be a wolf. There's going to be a wolf. There's going to be blood. There's going to be screaming, and there's going to be running through the woods. There needs to be running through the woods.
There's lots of running through the woods. There's lots of going high and going low and going across polypropylene tunnels, which hold the weight for a certain amount of time, but not quite as much time as I think they would be if I know polypropylene tunnels. But anyway, a long story short, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a bit. Yeah, I don't know what the word is. It's an average film. I didn't dislike it. you know, I wasn't me huffy. Oh, that's really stupid.
Which is a recommendation from
Yeah,
Shaun.
it's in
I
itself.
didn't
Yeah.
dislike it. It's definitely a recommendation from Shaun.
So I guess on the whole, for me, this would be a standard three. You know, straight down the middle three. It was okay. It was entertaining. I didn't dislike it. Perhaps
All
a little
right.
bit long, maybe, but yeah. So that's 3 stars from me.
3 stars from Shaun for Wolfman, which is, I mean, because these films, they're Universal movies, and there was a time when they were going to do like a shared universe, but they kind of jumped the gun a bit, saying we're going to do Invisible Man and Frankenstein and this and that, and this is, I think Lee Whannell is on like a one-man mission to make modern versions of all these sort of like Universal horror movies. So he's done The Invisible Man. He's now doing Wolfman. And based on what Shaun said about The Invisible Man, the last time he tried to do one of these things, this is a much better result.
Yeah,
it's a much better result.
But for me, you know, I mean, for me, so yeah, it was yeah, I didn't dislike it. But from
right.
John was saying it's absolutely bombed or something. He was telling me. But I don't know. Or bombed.
Possibly. Although I do feel like cinema is coming back to some sort of normality because because the cinema I went to has just been recently refurbished, so it's done so like the, you know, it looks old school and everything like that, and everything is like a Lux seating and everything reclines and all that. And going there, I've been seeing like more and more people just sort of coming, like, you know, people just show up and like, oh, it's a night out, or kids who sort of like coming after school or saying going to go watch a film. So I feel like cinema going habits seem to be normalizing again. Yeah. It might not be quick enough for some people, but we'll see. All right, and now let's go back to Netflix. Oh, sorry, someone say something?
No, I was just going to say, and I think we're moving past that stage where we're post the writer's strike. So that caused like a real lull in film production for a while. Yeah. I think we're beginning to see the films beginning to pick up pace again, because we had a few months where they were quite slow to release the bigger films, then we were scrabbling around to watch things, weren't we?
Yeah. I mean, Steven Soderbergh was like, he did Presence, and I mean the one not sure what we're going to talk about or say, but I'm not sure what one we're doing. But yeah, he did the screenplay for the one me and Holly watched.
Oh, Companion.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh wrote that.
Steven Soderbergh, yeah.
Good Lord, that man does not know how to retire.
I just wondered if, but bringing that back to Sharon saying about the writer's strike, perhaps these were movies that were done, you know, and now they're releasing them pretty much after the other. Probably that was a thought I had, but.
Well, yeah, because, okay, I'll tell you one, because I saw Flight Risk and I saw, what's the other film? I saw Flight Risk and Presence on the same night. I saw them both on the same night, and it did occur to me that these were both films that pretty much take place in one location. Like the entire film takes place in one location.
Yeah,
and it did make, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it's a bit like how post-COVID, like coming out of COVID, you started having a glut of all these films that had casts of about 2 or 3 people, mainly in one location.
Yeah. Good point. Very good point.
Things like Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, and everything like that, and maybe after the writer's strike, they were like, we need to get some stuff off the ground. What do you have that doesn't need that much money, needs a couple of people, we can get it off the ground quick, and I reckon that might be what led to things like Flight Risk and Presence, because Presence is very experimental. It's very kind of like, I can imagine Steven Soderbergh goes, give me 10 million, I can make this on an iPhone. They're like, yes, take the money.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's like, oh, has anybody seen or is planning to see The Brutalist?
Planning.
I'm planning, probably would see it, but it hasn't even had a whisper of it being anywhere near us yet.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Possibly.
Is it out? Is it out?
It is in London, I think.
Is it? Yeah,
Let me
it's nowhere
check.
near me. Okay, cool. I'll just check in because apparently people, I've been hearing that film only cost 10 million to make, and it looks a lot more expensive from what I hear. But then again, they got their bang for their buck because the film is over 3 hours long. So
it's out in London. May see it on Friday or Saturday, and apparently it's so long it has an interval.
It has a 15-minute interval. Yeah. It has a built-in 15-minute interval into the film.
Reminds me of Gone with the Wind.
That was quite regular when I used to go when I was a kid, and I used to go with my dad. Long Gravy, all of them intermission.
Yeah, the Brutalist is on a one-film mission to bring it back, Sean. Bring it back for
cool.
you.
I didn't mind the intermissions. I remember.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a bit like going to the theater, which is kind of like, I think cinema originally took a lot of its cue from the theater, and and that's why But anyway,
I mean, with a lot of films, they used to have like what's it when they play all the bits of music before the
overture.
Film actually, so overture.
Yeah.
Thank you. So they used to have an overture quite often in some of the big movies that I used to go see. So like they'd have 5 or 6 minutes like of just playing all the,
playing all the music.
Pardon? Yeah,
playing all the music. Yeah,
55 Days of Peking.
But we remember the days when the usherette would come round, so the lights would go up, and then the lady would come round, and if you were
like you say, like the theatre pose, like you were saying,
she would come up. I had the odd experience when I was in the cinema on my own, and the usherette would come in, and she'd walk straight up to me and say, "Do you want anything?" And she'd go, she wouldn't even bother going down the front. She wouldn't even bother going down all the steps. It was like, why go down all those steps and wait there and we stare at each other? I'll just come straight to you. So she did that a couple of times when I was in there.
And also bearing in mind that this is a podcast that is 50% based on the Isle of Wight. I feel like any talk of old cinemas has to include the old cinema in Lake, which I never got to go to because it was closed by the time I moved to the Isle of Wight.
Puppet show in the interval.
But apparently they had an interval and they had a puppet show in the interval. So you'd go watch a film and you get a puppet show in the interval before the film continued. And people on the Isle of Wight talk about that fondly. I reckon that if Cineworld brought that back and started doing puppet shows and like giving films an interval and doing puppet show in the interval, they wouldn't be going out of business. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you know when you'd always know when the puppet came out.
All right, cool. And now let's go back to Cinema and Friends. I do love our little sort of like tangents. In some ways, they're my favorite bit of the show. And we're going back to Netflix and Friends, and we are going to talk Silo Season 2 on Apple TV+. So, Sharon, you are the only one who has watched this the whole way through. I think I watched the first 3 episodes and got annoyed about the fact that very soon they were going to hold the episodes back from me, and so I was like, this is going a bit slower. I'm going to go watch something else. So I started watching Big Mouth instead, which Shaun has reviewed before. And Shaun, Shame Wizard.
Shame Wizard, Shame Wizard.
David Thewlis voicing the decision. But anyway, let's go. Let's talk Silo Season 2. Sharon, please take this away.
Yeah, so Silo Season 2, based on the novels by Hugh Howey. There's 3 of them, and I believe they are planning to make all sort of the adaptations of all 3 of the novels.
Yeah. They've already started filming season 3 and season 4 of Silo, which will finish the whole thing off.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons basically relate to the first book, Wool.
Yeah.
It's called. And then the next book is called Shift, which makes a lot of sense when you actually read it, and when the last scene of this series makes a lot of sense when you know that the second book is called Shift.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is part 2 of the second season. So we left the characters. It starts off immediately. The first season finished. The basic backstory is the Silo is an underground city, 130 odd floors down into the depths of the earth.
Yep.
Some event has happened at some point in the past. We're not really sure. They talk about Founders Day, and that was like 150 years ago. But you get the feeling that generations have lived in this silo.
Yeah.
And it's called a silo and it has like 3 tiers. There's like the up tops, there's the mids, and then there's the down deeps. Mm-hmm. And basically the up tops are like the officials, the sort of the hierarchy, the more wealthy live up there. Because the closer you get to natural light, even though basically only the first sort of floor gets any natural light, everyone else is, but it's like fake sunlight at the top.
Yeah.
And then as it gets further down, the lighting gets worse and it gets grimmer in the conditions. Your housing is worse. But so in the mids, you've got farms and you've got like the industrial areas. It's all self-contained, a world underground.
Yeah.
And they live in complete isolation. They don't know anything outside of their own existence. And some of them don't know, because things of the past, relics have been banned. Any reference to the time before what they call as like their Founders Day, anything before that is like no one talks about. every now and then a relic will emerge of like they called the before, and they just don't understand what they are. There's quite a
Yeah.
significant. It's like a Pez. It's like a duck. It's like a duck.
Yeah, a Pez dispenser. Yeah,
A
and
Pez
it's.
dispenser.
I think that's
No one
one of the
knows what
things.
it is.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that it does. The show does quite well. It does very well at drawing this world in which people don't know what things like, I don't know, just like a Coke can is. People have never seen the sun. They've never they've never seen, and like there's like 70-year-old people who have never seen the sun.
Yeah.
And
they know what sort of animals are, but they've never seen a bird, for example.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
know. They've never seen the sea. They don't know the sea exists.
Yeah.
And they've never seen grass. They've got farms, but it's all crops.
Yeah.
So their world is completely enclosed. And then every now and then people ask to go outside. And when someone goes outside, they're asked to clean. You have cameras set up outside. And the idea is that you go outside and they give them the wool and they're asked to clean the cameras off. So when it's called going outside, they're told they're going to go and clean. And it can be used as an exile to punish people. You go outside to clean if you do something that really is unspeakable. There's no death penalty as such, but because every now and then people do go outside, because numbers are strictly limited. It's only when someone dies that someone else is given permission to have a child.
Yeah.
And so you have to apply then to be next eligible to be able to have a child. And so there's a whole world. It's a real world. So this takes off where we left off, where Juliet, who was the sheriff of the silo, is sent outside to clean. But she's discovered there's more the things that are going on that most of the people who live in the silo don't know about. So she leaves, and we saw that at the end of the last season. And she doesn't clean. She decides she's not going to clean. She's just going to walk beyond the horizon because no one knows what is beyond the horizon. So she says, I'm not going to clean. I'm just going to walk. And she walks out and she finds another silo that has been devastated by some sort of internal conflict. Around it, there are like 10,000 corpses where people have escaped the silo and then died. And she goes down and down and down and down as far as she can go before she can start breathing again, away from like the contaminated air. So she ends up in the midst. And she then encounters a survivor from this other silo. And as she then tries to find a way of basically getting back to her own silo to tell people that actually there is something outside of our silo, she then understands that she'd be able to learn a bit more about what's going on. And her leaving has triggered almost like an internal civil war within the silo. So there's like this clock ticking, whereas she wants to try to get back before it disintegrates and turns into this failed silo. And so that is the story. This ticking clock about Juliet trying to get back and the people in the silo trying to work out what happened to her, and then order is breaking down.
Sounds a bit soap opera-ish to me.
Well, if it is, it's kind of there is an element of that, but the thing about it is because you have this society, and the whole thing about it is when people go out to go clean, they go out to go clean, but after a while they die. Because the reason why they keep people in the silo is that they say the air outside is toxic. If you go out there, it's not livable. You cannot live above the surface.
Can't live outside.
So the idea is that everybody who goes out there, they probably have about 15, 20 seconds before they fall over and they die. And nobody has ever gone over the horizon.
They've never made it that far.
They've never made it that far. So when Juliet makes it over the horizon, all of a sudden everybody's like, everything we know is a lie. And then you have this, I've only seen about 3 episodes, but what has been developing so far has been this dual thing of Juliet finding another silo and beginning to understand what the silos are and understand what it is that the society is all about. And at the same time, you have Tim Robbins back home trying to quell and trying to essentially pull all these sort of like almost Game of Thrones-like strings to make sure that he keeps power and he keeps order. And why he's so intent on keeping order and keeping power, you get the feeling that it's not just because he's power hungry. You get the feeling that there's something that he's actually scared of, but they don't tell you what it is that he's scared of. At least I guess that's what you're building to. Yeah,
you're building to. And then as secrets are revealed about the silos and about are there just 2 silos? What you begin to get these sort of chinks in this world, but it's like a whole world building thing. So it is, if you like the first season, it's more of the same. But if you like the books, it takes some of the key moments in the books and sort of follows with those. So yeah, it's you know what you're getting basically.
Yeah, Sean, I reckon you'd like it.
Okay.
I reckon you
It
like it. I think
sounds
the world.
soapy, but I think
It doesn't.
there's
It
enough
doesn't.
intrigue and
Yeah,
there's enough intrigue and there's enough maneuvering, sort of almost like political, almost wrangling.
yeah.
But
I have sort of seen it. I have looked and I've wondered about it, and then I thought, well, I don't know. It just looks a bit. Although I do like
Yeah.
Tim Robbins, so
Well, yeah, but the thing as well, Sean, is that I mean, if you describe Game of Thrones sounds hella soapy.
right.
Game
I
of
thought a bit Game of Thrones-ish. That might be.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
don't-
If you
I
describe
like
Game of Thrones, yeah, it's I don't. It's not as bloody. It's not as bloody, but like on the political side, it's a bit similar. But anyway, so how many stars would you give Silo season 2?
I'd give it a good 3 to me. I think I would say it won't win any new fans. If you're not a fan already, then this won't win you a fandom. But I think it's solid. It was good. I liked it. Really entertaining. Good cast. Some of the characterizations are good. So no, I think it's close enough to books to be sort of get that the honourable mention. So yeah, to me it's worth it. Definitely worth it. And I give it a strong 3.
Cool, good stuff. I just realized that everything that we're talking about this week has only been seen by one person. So unless anybody else has watched,
No, there was
No.
one me and Holly have
well,
seen.
yeah, no companion, but I'm pushing that to next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pushing that to next week.
There's a shame.
Okay. Let me check first of all. Are both of you around next week?
As far as I know, as far as I'm aware.
Because if not, because I wanted to do Baby Girl because we haven't done Baby Girl. It's been sitting around for about a couple of weeks. But
I am not around next week. I am afraid. I'm out to supper.
okay, cool. So all right, cool, fine, whatever. Let's do companion. Let's we'll do companion and Baby Girl. We'll just never talk about.
I can probably provide a 2-minute synopsis of it.
All right, cool. But not now. Not now. We would do that separately. And okay, so companion. So this is Shaun. This is Shaun and Holly showing how privileged they are to have unlimited cards. They're gonna. So let's say Holly, tell us about companion. Tell us about what this is about.
Okay, so companion, it begins
Got to be careful
with.
spoilers here. We got to be careful spoilers.
I
know.
figured
Well,
that it is the
I think the sort of one of the main spoiler points is apparent from.
well, there's a trailer that's been put out, and I wouldn't be surprised if even the poster tells you. And if the spoiler is that we're beginning to get a glut of films that are about AI horrors almost.
So that's
AI
right.
horrors, and I feel like it's okay to say that this is an AI horror.
So,
So-
so the I'm just checking to see if it says on IMDb in the
It will do.
summary or
It
not.
will do.
Okay, we can go for it then. That's good. That's
Okay,
good.
the film begins with a young woman whose name is Iris saying that she remembers the happiest moment in her life, which was when she met her boyfriend, Jack Quaid, in a supermarket where she is walking through, pushing a trolley with perfect hair and a lovely hairband. And he manages to knock over a load of oranges, and they meet, and their eyes make contact, and it's love. And then
Yeah,
she follows.
she's looking like very much like a cross between Sabrina Carpenter and a 1950s housewife.
Exactly that. And she then says that the other happiest moment in her life was when she killed him. So you begin this right out knowing things are not going to go that well.
Well, not for Jack.
Not for Jack. So they are off driving to see some friends in a beautiful, beautiful lake house in the middle of nowhere. And they arrive, and Iris is quite nervous about being there, and whether or not people will like her. She's clearly quite anxious, and he tells her to stop being silly, and that they'll have an absolutely lovely time, and she needs to stop worrying about things. And she says, well,
My friends are gonna love you.
yeah, she's like, but I don't think, Kat doesn't like me. And he's like, well, cat doesn't like anybody. And they ring the doorbell, and the friend Cat arrives with a glass of wine, speaks to him, clearly completely ignores Iris, doesn't interact with her. And the poster, just to give a little flavour, is a picture of Iris with blanked over white eyes. So I think it's probably safe to say at this point, are we all right with this
Okay.
potential spoiler?
I'll just say one thing. I'll just say one thing. This is one of those things where marketing for this film has ruined it already. They have made it very, very clear what happens, because let me put it this way: there's a scene in the trailer where Iris is sat in a chair with the white over eyes, as you say, and Jack says, "Iris, wake up," and then she goes, "Phew," and then she sort of like switches on. Oh, which is the only way of putting it. So I feel like the big thing about this has been released, and it's one of those films that I think it would have been great to watch not knowing anything. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So
we do know that Iris is in fact not a real girl.
Yeah.
And as Shirley's put up the poster behind, which says it's find someone made just for you.
Ooh.
And the things go wrong, and Iris has to deal with the realization that her belief in herself and her humanity is not necessarily quite what she thinks it is.
So she's self-aware of what she is then towards, not maybe all immediately, but she becomes self-aware.
She becomes self-aware.
So yeah, so this is me just taking this from the trailer. I haven't seen this film. The trailer sort of seems to promise that it's a film in which Iris doesn't realize what she is. So like she lives through it, and it's almost as if like it's almost as if like her whole idea, and this whole idea about like even the meet cute with her boyfriend is all staged and everything like that. It seems like it's like a service that some company offers, and then things go awry. Things go awry as this. There's a scene in it that reminds me of Westworld. There's a bit in Westworld where the Tandiwe Newton character grabs a hold of an iPad and starts fiddling with her settings. And there's a scene like that in the trailer that tells you that something like that happens because one of the big things about this is that you can choose how intelligent your companion is. And so yeah, all that stuff. So I think it's a kind of film that would have been great if they didn't tell you anything and you walked in without knowing that much. But the film itself seems very happy to tell you almost everything before you even go watch a single frame of it. But okay, so that's the thing. Shaun, what did you think?
Okay, yeah. So they turn up to this house, and you've got like a Russian oligarch. You've got a gay couple, and like Polly was saying, the cat thing. So you've got awesome people. There's quite. I'll tell you who's in this is Stewie from The Boys, the guy who plays Stewie.
Yeah, that's Jack Quaid.
Yeah. So
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan's son.
Is he really? Oh wow,
he is.
Okay.
He is
so
Dennis Quaid.
I mean, he's quite versatile, I guess. So yeah, you've nailed everything on the head. But there's another there's a sort of extra, and I was trying to think what I didn't like about this, and I thought it was pretty good, to be fair. I quite liked the premise. I like the interaction between the people. I thought it was really good. I really have to say that I really enjoyed this film. This was a real surprise for me. So yeah.
But Shaun, this is you speaking as somebody who wanted your own joy from Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I could really. I thought she was really nice as well. This girl, she sort of reminded me a bit of other people. That I mean, I don't know. Has she been in anything else? Has she been?
She was in Heretic.
This actress, yeah.
She was one of the lead actresses in Heretic. In Heretic with Hugh Grant.
Oh right, I saw Heretic. Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah. So with that, how many stars would you guys give it?
I would give this high 3.
I'm going 4.
Ooh.
I thought it was just marvelous.
It was
absolutely
good.
loved it.
I must say it was good. It was a good movie.
And I laughed a lot. It is not.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't know. That's the thing. Actually, I'm glad you picked up on that, because I found sometimes the humour was, I don't know if it detracted a little bit but I don't know if it was necessary to be there. But it was quite. I must admit, there were some humorous moments in it, and I don't think it really knew if it wanted to be a comedy or,
Yeah. It's just it's described as a dark comedy in places.
Yeah, there is, and it is quite funny. And also the sort of quite at the end scene, you're talking about social commentary about control and in relationships and stuff. That was that you'll probably know the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, you see there, I was thinking, this is one of the things. Why didn't you do it? But why didn't you do it? But then that was to make it so it could be that rather nasty shocker at the end. So probably
there is, by the by, and this you may or may not want to cut out, Tosin. So I'll pause before I say it, so you've got a good cut moment if needs be. The very end, very end scene is a perfect parallel to the end of Cruel Intentions.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, now this is me trying to remember how Cruel Intentions ends, but never mind.
It's really uncanny. It's really good, beautiful ending.
Yeah, but I figure that the thematically, I expect this film to have a lot in similar with Blink Twice. I think there is definitely commonality there.
I'm not so sure.
All right.
I think there's some.
Little bit,
okay. Then it's like both of your reactions make me think that good, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the trailer didn't give everything away. So fine.
No, there's a nice surprise in it.
All right, cool. I look forward to go see this. To go and see.
There's quite a lot of nice surprises, actually.
There is quite a lot of nice surprises. You're right, Holly. There is a lot quite nice.
There are some things that are actually really touching as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we are going to go back to Netflix and cinema. Oh, good Lord. Netflix and Friends. And we are going to talk about something that is a film that is definitely not a cartoon about a dog who's also a man. It is it's definitely not a cartoon about it is a film called Dogman. A film called Dogman, which is a Luc Besson film. No, that's another film. That's Danny the dog I'm thinking of. But okay, so Shaun, tell us about this.
Okay, so this film starts off with you see this truck driving. It gets stopped by the police, and there's a man. They pull the man out. He's a transvestite. He's dressed up, and the police open the back, and tons of dogs run out. So loads of dogs just run off, and they're like, whoa, all the compound. So they take him to the police station. He is disabled, and they get the psychiatrist. So as he's talking to the psychiatrist, he's telling the story of what happened. So way back when he was a young lad, his father was a bit of a religious fanatic, and he said something out of place. So he threw him in with all the dogs. He said, right, okay, there's your place, and threw him in with the dogs. Well, a bit later, the social services turn up and they take him in, but he's caught some disease. And so basically the psychiatrist, he's telling the story of what happens, and he becomes you see him as a little bit older, and he uses his dogs to do things, to sort out problems in the neighborhood, to rob places, if you will. So they do, and he talks to them. So he's got all these dogs, and he also, there's a really good bit in it where he goes to a school, and like a drama school and acting school, and falls in love with his drama teacher. And she teaches him all about Shakespeare, and then he goes away. So he sees this advert for they want a performer in this cabaret show.
Yeah.
And they go, no, what can you do? You're crippled. You can't do nothing. He says, well, I can do Edith Piaf. And he goes out and he does an Edith Piaf, and the crowd are like, whoa, brilliant. And he does a Marilyn Monroe, and he can do loads of stuff, and all the girls like him. So all the showgirls are they like him. Anyway, he does something. Someone comes to him and says, look, I need some help. We're being threatened by some gangsters and things. So he obviously uses the dogs to help him out.
Okay. So far, this sounds like perfect Luc Besson.
So Luc Besson, yeah.
Rambling all over the place. Okay, yeah. Let's go this. No, let's go there. Let's go there. Oh, no, how about this?
Right up my street. Yeah, right up my street. Yeah, so anyway, so basically there's some really, really nasty gangstery type things. So there's this little bit where they all decide to turn up. They threaten someone. They say, oh, "Where is he?" So all the gangsters turn up, like, you know, a whole mob of them. So, and of course, he's got these dogs he's got like this place, like, do you remember that Will Smith thing, Enemy of the State, where it's like cameras and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And so they're like, gradually, slowly, the dogs are taking out all these.
Okay, I'm beginning to get a feeling. I'm beginning to get a sense of this, a bit like John Wick, but with more than one dog.
Yeah. There's like, he doesn't actually do any of the fighting because he's disabled. He can't do any fighting. And
So
I have to tell the guy in this, I don't know what else he's been in. Caleb Landry.
Landry Jones. Landry Jones. Yeah.
Absolutely knockout. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And when he did I don't know if it was his voice or if he could do the performance of like Edith Piaf. Because there's one bit where he goes out to the cabaret, and he says, "Look, you know, I can stand for a little while, but do not, you know, just come and get me when otherwise he's just going to fall over, you know." So,
yeah. Well, then this
runs up and he's it's just great. It's all over the place. It's lovely, it's perfect, just right up my street.
The thing is with
real surprise.
Yeah, Caleb Landry Jones. He pretty much exclusively plays weirdos. That's the thing. Like Caleb Landry Jones, he was in Get Out. He was in that Tom Cruise movie American Made, where he was a pilot. He was his brother-in-law. But Caleb Landry Jones plays weird people. That's it. Like he seems to love doing that. Like the thing with him is that
he nails this.
Yeah,
one.
and he is almost unrecognizable each time you see him on screen. He's almost unrecognizable. You'd be like, he looks kind of familiar. You look at him and point out, oh yeah, he wasn't this, he wasn't that.
Yeah,
right,
that's what I mean. I thought I've seen him and stuff. But in a lot of the time, he spends a lot of his time as a transvestite, like, you know. So, but his Edith Piaf is a knockout. I don't know whether it was him or whether they actually used I know I keep going on about it, but yeah, really, I really enjoyed this film. This was, I don't know if it'd be everybody's taste because Luc Besson can be a bit acquired taste.
Luc Besson does his own thing. He does his own thing. So how many stars did you give Dogman?
For me, I'm going to give this one a 4 because I really liked it.
Okay.
So 4 stars for Dogman then. All right, so that is it. We've had 3 things come up and state their case in cinema. 3 things come up and state their case on streaming platforms. And the question is, who do you think has won this week?
I think it's because we've only had, I think we might have had 2 forwards. I don't know. I can't remember what you give for
I think it's Cinema Just.
Okay. You say a tie. You say Cinema.
I think it's been like 3-3-3-3, 4-4 at the end. So I think it's a tie.
Which, if it is a good thing.
If it is a good thing. If it is a good thing. However, you are all unfortunately wrong. It is Netflix by a whisker. It is Netflix by a whisker. And only because Shaun thought Companion was a 3 and Holly thought it was a 4.
Well.
So if we'd only gone with Holly, if we'd disregarded Shaun's thing, it's a tie. It's a tie. So it is by
I nearly did go 4 as well. I wish I'd have gone 4 now. I was close because I did say a high 3. So never mind.
Yeah.
But anyway,
there
was nothing disastrous.
Yeah, as we all know, Shaun, Hollywood listens to this podcast, and Hollywood says like whatever we say goes. So if we say cinema has lost this week, that's it. They're not releasing any more films. But anyway, okay. So until next week, when some of us might see Companion, I don't have a clue what's coming up. I really don't know, but it's probably going to be something worthy.
You've got that. Is it how many hours? Whatever it is, film. You've got the one about the press.
September 5th.
September 5th. So yeah, I don't know why. September 5th. I
September
guess
5th,
soon it must be Captain America, mustn't it?
Captain America. I think that's going to be later. It's going to be after. It's going to be like March later. Or something like that. Yeah.
It's
I think it's next month. I think it's February.
Check my notes.
I think it will be after the Oscars, essentially. After the Oscars, then Marvel will be like, right, you've got rid of that worthy nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Let's blow stuff up.
I'm just trying to think what else is about. I don't think there's like huge amounts.
But I'll tell you what, when we come on next week, we will let you know what we have seen. Anyway, until that time, it's a goodbye.
Captain America: Brave New World, 14th Feb.
Well, not too
Ooh, Valentine's
The
Day.
same day that Heart Eyes is out. Which I'm rather
All
looking
right.
forward to.
I might
All
have,
right.
yeah, Shaun, yeah.
Okay. Until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us.